Hello, and welcome to Let's Put on a show about musical theater and,
Musicals theater and musical theater.
yeah, I fucked it up, by, someone who's not super into musicals.
And someone who really, really is.
Yeah. So, we just watched the Broadway production on Netflix now of, Newsies.
It was actually filmed in Los Angeles.
Filmed in LA, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Newsies had already closed on Broadway back in 2012, and they decided they wanted to record it, so they literally just hey guys, come back, and pulled Jeremy Jordan out of Supergirl and pulled Cara Lindsay out of Wicked, and had everyone come to LA.
But here's the thing. On the actual, Netflix title, it says Newsies, the Broadway show.
Well, it's the same script they used on Broadway and everything.
Yeah, so it's Newsies, the Broadway show. That's what I'm saying.
But it was filmed at the Ahmanson, I do believe, in LA.
No relation?
No. That would be Oddmanson, not Ahmanson.
Oh, okay, cool.
The Ahmanson is A-H, Oddmanson, as in Timothy Ahmanson was O-D.
What? He doesn't have a D in his name.
He
has one D, but it's the Mund, not the
it's Ahmanson.
Yeah,
God damn it. I always mess that up.
Yeah. Why are you fucking censoring yourself now?
Because we're early in the podcast, I guess.
I literally said fuck within the first 20 seconds of the podcast.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, so we watched Newsies.
Anyway, having met Timothy Ahmanson, I'm sorry I fucked up your name.
Yeah. And having admired you from afar, so... No, I like him. He's a good actor. He was good on Psych. He was great in Gallivant. We need to do Gallivant.
We do need to do Gallivant.
Yeah.
One for each season.
But this is all beside the point. We just watched Newsies. And, so, let's get our, the way we feel about it in general out of the way first, so we can kind of establish what the playing field is, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, okay, so I really, really like it. But I'm biased. I love Jeremy Jordan. I met him when he did a concert at Benaroya Hall. I have watched almost all of Supergirl at this point. And he's just an adorable person, and I love him.
Okay. How do you think I feel about it?
I think you're probably fair to middling and kind of upset that it's not historically accurate.
You're not wrong about that last part, but I really enjoyed it.
Oh.
Yeah, I was surprised too. So
it's an Alan Menken score.
It's Alan Menken. I'm a mark for Alan Menken, so make of that what you will. But let's do a quick rundown of what happens in the play, because that seems to be our format now.
Yeah. So the quick rundown, it's about the Children's Crusade of 1899, started by the Newsboys when Pulitzer raised the price of newspapers for the boys who sold the papers. And they're just we're on strike now. And it was actually led by a guy called Kid Blink.
Yeah, so...
Apparently, Rob is more on that.
Yeah, we'll get into the historical stuff later.
But anyway...
my primary point of criticism is historical and... God, this is my brand now. Structure. But
okay, so I will continue.
Yeah.
So, show opens, you meet Jack Kelly, the charismatic leader of the Newsboys, and his best friend named Crutchy, who
has a crutch.
And a limp, and he's wonderful, played by Andrew Keenan Bolger. Jack Kelly is played by Jeremy Jordan.
He's great. They're both
wonderful characters, and I love them.
I like them.
And so you get the entire 20-minute opening sequence establishing the Newsboys and what they do, called Carrying the Banner. And then, after that, Jack meets Catherine, who is a reporter.
Yeah, and immediately is
pervs
on her.
Just pervs on her.
Just straight creeping. Hey lady, you wanna,
And she stands her ground and is just well, I've got a headline for you. Cheeky boy gets nothing for his efforts.
Oh shit.
And he kind of falls back, just well, that's new.
Ooh, V formation snap.
Then they run into each other again later on at a show.
Yeah, and in between some stuff happens. It's mainly sort of setting the table for later stuff. They establish, the Newsboys live in horrible conditions, and there's a place. They establish
who Pulitzer is.
Yeah, who Pulitzer is, and Pulitzer is basically played by evil Jason Sudeikis. He looks like Jason Sudeikis to a certain skinnier and more evil
and taller,
but he has a lot of the same. Sort of facial
I can see it now that you mention
it.
Yeah, he's my favorite part about Pulitzer is he has this very just deep, sonorous speaking voice, and he has a fucking high tenor singing voice.
Yeah,
and it works, but it's still really funny to me.
It is kind of funny, and I noted that for most of the play, he's very I am Joseph Pulitzer, historical figure. I'm an asshole. I'm a complete prick. But in the very first scene, it's when he's getting his hair cut. And that is the only time in the play that he is, like, queer-coded. A little bit.
Yes, a little bit. Because he's like,
oh,
if Nunzio doesn't cut my hair right, I don't look pretty.
Right. And he's, like, very sort of preening and, like, you know.
And you never meet his wife or anything either.
No,
so.
You meet his daughter. Spoilers.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Newsies.
Yeah. Go see Newsies. It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
I'm endorsing this, so go see it. It's good.
But anyway, so you meet Pulitzer, you meet the Newsies, they establish what the refuge is. It's this really, really terrible prison for underage kids.
Yeah. Basically, like, you know, you would expect the child catcher from fucking Chitty Chitty Bang Bang to work there.
Yeah.
Like, kind of rolling around in a truck, just, like, looking for stray kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then, Jack meets Catherine, and, Jack's an artist.
Yep.
That they reveal. And he doesn't consider, well, I mean, he does, but, like, his job is selling papers, not being an artist.
And he's very self-effacing about his artistic ability.
Yeah.
He kind of doesn't
Take it
get
easy,
over that.
it's a bunch of trees.
Yeah, he doesn't really get over it either. He's like, he never really comes to that point where he's like, oh, I am kind of good at this, aren't I?
Yeah.
Like, he continues being very self-doubting.
Self-effacing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It adds, like, a layer of whatnot.
And, like, all of these kids are supposed to be between, like, 13 and 17, and all of these actors are, like, 21 to, I think Jeremy Jordan was 31 or 32 when this was filmed.
Except for the one kid that's 10.
Except for the one kid that's 10, yeah.
And Jack advises him that he should be 7.
Yeah.
If you're 7, you sell more papers.
Yeah.
And that's a really good sort of establishing moment of, like, oh, Jack Kelly is never one to let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of outlines this play for me, if that makes sense. Like, the structure of the play and the way that the play is told is more important than the historical accuracy.
Yeah.
And that's fair, actually. I can get down on that. I'll once again, I'll go into my issues later, so foreshadowing.
Yeah, so, we meet Catherine, we meet Pulitzer, we meet Miss Meta Larkin, who owns a theater.
And here's a fun thing. So her name is Meta, right?
Medda.
I know. But she's also the star of the play within a play, and she gets most of these sort of self-referential lines. And they literally named her Meta.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, are they doing this on purpose? I think they're doing this on purpose.
Probably.
Yeah, that's when, like, the meta text actually kind of happens a little bit.
Yeah. So, anyway, and then Pulitzer raises the prices, Newsies go on strike, you get The World Will Know and Seize the Day, which are awesome numbers. Seize the Day happens, Crutchy gets taken to the refuge, Jack runs away.
Everyone gets beat the fuck
Everyone
up.
gets beat to hell.
Yeah, like, first the strikebreakers come, and they helpfully condense the strikebreakers into 2 cartoonish bad guys.
Yeah.
Like, what are they, the Valentino brothers or something?
Oh, the Delancey brothers.
Yeah, the Delancey brothers. And, like, they are, you know,
and
the
policeman
guys.
shows up.
And then the police show up, and you're like, oh, it's the police. Oh, they're beating up the Newsies. Oh, shit, I forgot, it's the 1800s.
Yeah. So, and then Jack has a reprise of Santa Fe, which just breaks your fucking heart, and then end Act 1.
Yeah.
Beginning Act 2, you get King of New York, which is, Catherine coming in, the reporter character, being like, hey, I got you guys front page because of the strike, but I'm shut down now. And the Newsies just like, well, we were still on the front page of the paper. Let's sing and dance about it.
We have famous. Let's have the most elaborate and impressive dance number in the play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, switches over to Crutchy in the refuge saying, hey, it's really shitty here.
Man, it sucks. And there's like one candle, and I'm just imagining the stage manager watching that candle like a fucking hawk. Like, it's real fire, and he's like, oh man.
She?
Okay.
Stage manager was a female.
Fair enough. She's like, man, you touched that fucking candle.
72% of stage managers are female.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I did not actually know that.
Yeah. It's a thing. And it's recent years it's become that number. And, like, all the people I went to college with, yeah, that makes sense.
Fair, yeah.
So anyway, and then, you know, we have that, and then goes to Jack inside inside Meta's theater, painting her another backdrop to earn the money to go to Santa Fe.
Kind of rubbing a paintless brush.
Rubbing a dry brush along the thing.
Yeah, it's like, because, you know, Jeremy Jordan is not a painter, and he can't, like, they can't have another, you know, backdrop every play, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he flips it around, like,
then he flips it, then Davy comes in.
Davy being the brains of the operation.
Davy being the brains of the operation, followed by Catherine and Davy's little brother Les. And they're all...
quick interruption here. Les is the fucking MVP of the play. He's this little kid, he's like, he's around 10, and he is just the most sort of bossy, confident little kid in the best possible way. Like, sometimes that can be annoying. Most of the time, let's be real, it's annoying. This kid is, like, endearing.
He's the Gavroche, but he survives.
He's basically, like, the little, you know, the mouse that roared, like, doesn't know that what he's doing is stupid kind of character, but in a way that makes you like him.
Well, yeah, he's Gavroche, but he survives.
Fair enough.
From Les Mis.
Yeah.
So anyway, they come in, find Jack being all self-pitying, and are just like, dude, we all fucked up. Get your head back in the game.
Yeah. And he by way of a rebuttal, he flips his canvas around, and on the back there's literally a political cartoon about
Pulitzer stomping on the Newsies.
And I'm like, is this supposed to not make me want to support you? Like, you basically painted a thing saying, like, we should keep going, our cause is just.
Yeah.
And then he's like, nah.
You want to see what kid. I see? And flip it out.
Hey kid, we should not be doing this.
And then Davy is just like, we've got him scared. You know why a snake starts to rattle? No. Why? Because he's scared. Look it up.
Yeah. It's like,
I love Davy's random knowledge.
Yeah, he's like the one kid that's ever read a book.
Yeah.
In the whole Newsy organization.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a really fun thing. Yeah.
So we forgot to mention Davy and Les are Newsies because their dad got in a accident. And
because there's no union.
Yeah.
They basically he lost his job. He got laid off.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's time for commentary. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So anyway, after they get Jack back to their cause, Jack decides to go see Pulitzer. Finds out Catherine's his daughter, finds out, you know, that he knows the head of the refuge, and is basically going to have him arrested unless he speaks against the strike.
Yeah, and this is an important piece of context, is that Jack escaped from the refuge.
Yeah.
And he did it on the back of
Teddy Roosevelt's carriage.
Because Teddy Roosevelt is governor of New York. And, that's important later.
Yeah. And so, he does that, is sent down to the cellar to sleep on an old printing press and think about his life decisions. And then he, you know, goes and speaks against it, and everyone's just like, oh, you're a sellout when they see him accepting money.
And they totally missed an opportunity to have a Warriors reference in there. Basically, like, all the newsboys of all of New York come together for this big summit. And at no point does anyone yell, "Can you dig it?" And that made me very sad.
Okay. So anyway, after Jack runs away from that meeting, he goes up to his place where he sleeps, which is on a fire escape at the top of a building, and Catherine is there.
Yep.
And, like, the Jack and Catherine love story I have a whole thing about, but that'll be after we finish the plot.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Nah.
A meh thing?
It's a meh thing.
Okay.
And so they you know, he's just like, oh, if you were a boy, you'd be talking to me through one swollen eye, and she's just like, oh, if I were a boy, you'd be talking to me through a mouthful of fist, and then he's just like, take your best shot, and then, you know, they kiss.
Yeah, because, you know, nothing turns men on more than verbal and physical abuse, and nothing turns women on more than being a creepy stalker.
Yep.
That's how that works.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
And then they have, which is honestly a really beautiful song of Something to Believe in.
Oh yeah, and
Alan Menken.
I should be clear here. I like, that's the way it starts, but that's the way a lot of
antagonistic romances,
kind of Menken Disney things start. Like, that's how Aladdin and Jasmine starts.
Yeah, and
that works out well. And they give it plenty of time to breathe and to grow.
They didn't with Jack and Catherine, but.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're almost there.
Let's go. Home stretch. Let's go.
So after Something to Believe in, she's just like, hey, you don't, being the leader doesn't mean you have all the right ideas, just to listen to the right one when you hear it, and comes up with, we print this flyer, distribute it to every kid, cause a citywide strike. And then they're just like, well, where the fuck are we going to print it? And Jack's just like, oh shit, I know where there's one no one would ever think we'd use, and it's the printing press he slept on in the basement.
Yeah, which is like, I kind of knew when they were like, giving so much attention to, you can sleep on this old printing press.
Now that's firm.
Yeah, it's firm. And the guy, like, you know, hits it with his fist, and then, you know,
that's gonna come back later.
It's like, okay, cool. Be more blatant with the foreshadowing, please. I don't know if I got it.
Yeah. And anyway, they do, and then my favorite scene in the show is when Pulitzer is just like, how did this happen? And Jack is just the cockiest motherfucker.
Oh, he's the cockiest cock that ever cocked the walk, you know? It's quite a phrase.
I'm sorry, I really like that phrase.
No, it's good. Yeah, that's the one time, like, in the play. So most of the time, Jack's a fucking busta. Like, he's constantly wanting to run away. He, like, started the strike, and then he's like, oh, we got beat up once. I give up. You know? Oh, this guy said, you have no chance. Oh, I guess you had no chance. I'll run away.
Yeah.
And then, this is the one time when he's like, no, I'm confident, I'm on board.
He runs across the stage and just slams the thing down on Pulitzer's desk.
Yeah, and then and then Pulitzer says, we had a deal. And then he's like this
it came with a money back guarantee.
And just kind of casually flips a big wad of cash onto Pulitzer's desk, and you're like, ooh.
And then you
cocky cock.
And then he does the thing where he sits in the big red velvet chair with one leg over the arm.
Yeah, just all casual, like looking at his fingernails.
Just all casual, and it's just like, and then, these kids put out a pretty good paper.
Yeah, that's great. I love Pulitzer's lackeys, because they're, like, clearly just sort of there for, like, because they work for Pulitzer.
Yeah.
Like, his Miss Tessmacher character.
Yeah.
Who's just kind of this, she's a... What's her name? From Ghostbusters. The secretary from Ghostbusters, the movie.
Totally don't remember.
Oh,
I know who you're talking about. I just don't remember her name.
It's like, Ghostbusters, we're ready to believe you. It's her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
But anyway, there's the point where he's sitting in the chair and, these kids put out a pretty good paper. No doubt written by my daughter. And then, Jack's just like, she's really good. You should sign her before someone else does.
Yeah.
I cannot do a New York accent to save my life.
Yeah,
I apologize.
This entire scene is gold because it's basically just kind of Jack being a cocky cock and Pulitzer being like the consummate, stuck-up bad guy. And it's really nice. Go on.
And then enter Teddy Roosevelt.
Deus Ex Roosevelt just shows up, like,
with Meadowlarkin and Catherine in tow.
Yeah, mustache ablazing,
And it's just like, oh, come on, Stephen. Or Joseph, sorry.
Stop.
Stephen?
Stephen.
Oh, the actor's name's Stephen.
That makes sense.
Oh, come on, Joseph. There's only one thing worse than a hard heart, and that's a soft head.
Yeah. And there was this one line, I wish I could remember it verbatim, but it's like, can't you hear those children singing?
Endlessly?
Like, man, the one character that's, like, aware that it's a musical, and it's Teddy fucking Roosevelt.
Because all the Newsies are outside singing, the chanting reprise of Seize the Day.
Yeah, can you hear the... Wait, wrong musical. Sorry, go on.
But anyway, and, then, Pulitzer is all like, Mr. Kelly, if I can talk to you alone, and then they come to their deal, and...
Yeah. And this is a weird thing, like, for the entire thing, like, they play very fast and loose with the facts, but the whole buying back unsold papers, that's really what happened. And I was really surprised that right at the very end, they were like, oh, historical accuracy. Cool.
Yeah. It's a compromise we can both live with.
Yeah, and then, Jack spits in his hand and goes, yeah, let's shake on it.
That's disgusting, which is a great circular joke.
Yeah, that's the price of doing business.
And then they shake and then goes to the end number. And
yeah, and, everyone gets sort of a happy ending, yeah. Mm-hmm. Even Pulitzer, like, Jack points out, like, no newsboy is going to buy a bunch of papers they can't sell because it's going to break their back, so...
But if they can take a few more without a risk...
Then they'll definitely do that, and they'll, like, work harder to make sure they can sell them.
Yeah.
And then Pulitzer's like, we've got a pretty good head on those shoulders.
And then he offers Jack a position drawing political cartoons because Pulitzer hates Roosevelt.
Yeah, and then Jack's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And then,
I'm not going to work for your father. You already work for my father.
Oh. Yeah, like, there's this recurring thing, and it's kind of fun, but a little bit stupid, that Jack Kelly's an idiot.
He's a well-intentioned idiot.
He's a well-intentioned, cowardly idiot, which is fun for
well,
a main
and he
character.
says, oh me, I'm just a blowhard, Davy's the brains.
Yeah, and that's fun and all.
Yeah.
It's good.
No, we tell him. So,
what do we tell him? Yeah, like, there's a running through line of him being kind of a dummy.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, he's book dumb. He's not. Yeah. He's street smart, but he's book dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that sound?
That is a paper by my feet.
Oh, okay, cool. But anyway, so best curtain call ever at the end.
Yeah. They all dance for 10 minutes.
It's a huge dance number. It's awesome. And on the Netflix thing, they actually have the credit pop up next to the person.
Yeah, so you know who played who.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. So I have a bunch of notes that I took. And I'm not going to say all of them, but my first one is, my favorite thing is that Pulitzer, I may have already said this about...
The sonorous voice?
The sonorous,
yeah,
okay, I already did. Okay. And my other thing about the show is that all these kids are supposed to be between 13 and 17.
Yeah.
The one time I will believe that when Jack, whatever, Jeremy Jordan.
Win from Supergirl.
Win from Supergirl.
Good show, watch it.
Is 17... is during the Santa Fe reprise when he's, Captain Jack just wants to shut his eyes and go. That's the one time I believe he's 17.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just, no, that dude's 30.
And the other thing, what? Oh, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Jeremy, the newsboy. Jeremy, who works for the Department of Extraterrestrial the
DEO.
Yeah, the DEO. What does DEO stand for? It's
Department of Extra-Normal Operations.
Yeah, that's the one. Anyway.
This was between seasons 1 and 2 of Supergirl that this was filmed.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning into our Supergirl fan cast.
I just like to imagine that Wynn had to leave for a few days.
Yeah.
So what's he doing in California? Oh, I don't know. Picture comes up. What?
Wait, don't we live in California?
No, Chicago. We decided
we decided Chicago. Anyway. So, right, let's get into the meat. We've gotten through the appetizer. Let's get to the entree.
The love story needed a lot more work.
I'll go with that. Because it basically goes most of the time, so there's a term on TV tropes called slap, slap, kiss, which this musical, or this relationship is that.
Someone done goofed.
Yeah, jeepers, it's the fuzz. Let's wait for that. We don't have a booth, we just have my living room.
I mean, it works.
Anyway, so, slap, slap, kiss. Usually there's more than just literally slap, and then kiss. There's 3 scenes where they interact with each other. Almost. There's there's a few more incidental scenes. But it's we hate each other, we grudgingly respect each other, we kiss.
Yeah. Well, no, and my thing is when they put I've Got No Use for Moonlight, that's really early. This is literally the second time he's seen this girl in his life.
Yeah, that one's weird. And then he draws her and leaves the drawing behind, and she sees it, and her face lights up oh my god. Well, and he's really sweet. And it's no, if some rando draws a picture of you and leaves it for you to find, that's weird.
And that, honestly, Got No Use for Moonlight I don't even know what the official title for that scene is.
I don't even know.
But that should have come after Watch What Happens, which is her big song, after she's, caught onto the Newsies strike and is going to write their article.
Yeah, and she's banging relentlessly
going, oh god, I can't do this. Let's do this. Oh god, I can't do this. Oh, let's do this.
Which is a great song.
Yeah. I love Watch What Happens.
Yeah, and she's just relentlessly banging on the space key.
Yeah.
There's no ribbon in that typewriter.
Yeah.
I own a typewriter because I'm a horrible hipster bastard, so I know what typing without a ribbon looks
like. No Use for Moonlight should have come after Watch What Happens, after he reads her article in the second act. There should have been something else there where that was.
I'll buy that, yeah. And it worked for me just because, Jack's the kind of, overly confident person that would just draw a random picture of a girl he just met and leave it for her and be now I'm in.
But see, the now I'm in, but the way he goes into I've Got No Use for Moonlight or sappy poetry, he is genuinely smitten, and he admits in the song that he's never been that smitten with a girl before. And
that might partially be just
it's a Disney.
No girl ever stood out to me like that before.
Yeah, because I mean, true, and
yeah, and let me get this right. I love scrappy reporter girl characters, and I really like her because of that, especially because she gets the best sort of comebacks in the show.
Yeah,
but I kind of wish that she was more of a motor mouth, kind of My Girl Friday type.
Yeah,
but she does a good job.
Yeah,
she's very good, and I agree that the romance is kind of underbaked.
Yeah. And the one thing that would have made it slightly better for me is in the scene where, after Santa Fe reprise and she finds him up in his loft and they have the, if you were a boy you'd be looking at me through a unswollen eye, and then it would have worked better if there'd been more time between, take your best shot and her kissing him.
Yeah, because it's literally just take your best shot, and then she just immediately kisses him.
Yeah, and he holds her fist to his face, and just take your best shot, and it would have worked better if she'd reeled back she was gonna, thought about it, he closes his eyes to brace, and then she kisses him. That would have worked so much better for me.
Yeah, and honestly, I would have loved it if she just actually punched him.
And then kissed him. Me too!
Because then, that would genuinely have caught him, it caught him off guard, getting kissed. Yeah. And that was kind of that was where it worked for me, in a weird way, where he's at that point, he's not smitten with I mean, he's smitten with her, but he's not like, you know...
He's more scared and angry at this point.
He's more like, he's on the rocks with her, and she's gone from being like, you know, oh, you're some idiot that keeps hitting on me, to, oh, you're like a person who has this really, like, interesting idea, and you're like...
And you're super charismatic, and you're Jeremy
Jordan.
Jordan.
And you're Jeremy Jordan, and, you know...
I'm gonna kiss you.
I'm gonna kiss you, yeah. And it's kind of that... It's a very short version of the unrequited love switcheroo,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, one person loves someone, the other one person doesn't love them back, and then, like, over time they swap.
Yeah.
But it's very abbreviated. I agree. And this leads into a bit of a thing that I have with art and media in general, but specifically musicals. A wise man once said, and this man is Yahtzee Croshaw, I'm not going to not attribute it, what if in an alternate universe there was a rule that all media, all fictional media, all movies, all TV shows, all everything, had to have a line dancing scene?
I'd be down.
You'd be down, but it would be weird, right? Like, imagine just in the middle of the Dark Knight, oh, we need to pause this so we have a line dancing scene.
I mean...
In the middle of Mad Max Fury Road.
Well, I was going to say, you bring up Dark Knight. You remember Christian Bale was in the original Newsies.
I know, yeah. But just any given movie, like Citizen Kane, Apocalypse Now, line dancing scene. That's how I feel about romance in movies and musicals.
Mm.
It has to be there for some reason, because it's an obvious and easy way to have, like, emotional stakes.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But it's in everything. And
Yeah.
sometimes that leads to it being kind of shoehorned in because you need to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think
I'd honestly prefer more movies with requisite line dance and requisite romance, but...
That's what I mean, yeah. Like, I use Fury Road in there, but I love Fury Road because it doesn't have a shoehorned romance.
Yeah.
Like, there's two people who come to respect each other, but they don't...
They never kiss,
There's never tension. There's tension, but it's
there's
like,
not sexual
it's professional tension,
Yeah.
basically.
It's, am I gonna kill you, not am I gonna kiss you?
Exactly. And the line is very thin,
Yeah.
sometimes. But anyway, that's about Fury Road, not Newsies. So that line, that sort of shoehorned bit, I think is a good way to segue into history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the actual Newsboys strike was actually fairly similar to what happened there.
Yeah.
It took place over a much longer period because this play took place over the course of like a week.
Maybe.
Like maybe a week.
Like
a week is a stretch.
3 days.
3 or 4 days, yeah. And that's
like
just
the
straight up not realistic.
The bruise makeup would say 3-4 days.
Yeah, and the actual Newsboys strikes took place over the course of weeks. Like, it happened a lot. Now, the reason behind the Newsboys strikes was not just sort of Joseph Pulitzer going, whoa, I'm going to be evil. Basically, all of the papers raised their prices for the Spanish-American War because they were selling more papers.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to raise their prices because everyone wanted to learn about the Spanish-American War. And after the war ended, basically the price increase was offset by, like, increased sales. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone was buying the paper, so they raised the prices, and the Newsboys made it back because
Mm-hmm.
everyone was buying papers. After the war ended, Pulitzer didn't lower the price again. That's what happened. Okay. It wasn't him going like, oh, circulation's down after the war, I better raise prices because that's how that works. Raising prices always increases circulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. So it was basically him kind of sneakily trying to sneak it in. And then this kid named Kid Blink, whose name was like Louis something. Jesus, what was his name? Let me find it.
Kid Blink, who is a credited character in the musical
Yeah.
with no speaking lines.
Louis Ballat, or Ballat. He was awesome. He was blind in one eye. He wore an eye patch, which would have lent a lot of fun subtext to the line about, look in my eyes, do I look like I'm kidding?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't Kid Blink the main character of this musical?
Because he wasn't conventionally attractive.
No, he was! Let me find a picture of him for you. Kid Blink. He was like 13, but he was a real fucking lady killer.
With one eye.
Yes! Come look. Walk careful, but...
Yes, there's so many chords here.
Yeah! That's Kid Blink.
Hot damn.
Yeah! This kid is, like, not unattractive. He was the mastermind of the strike. He had an iron fucking will. He did the whole thing. He was basically the leader of the whole fucking strike. And he didn't have that sort of self-doubting personality, which I can see why they would want that for a character. But why isn't Kid Blink the leader of the strike?
Who knows?
Here's my thing. If I'm going to fantasy book this musical, which I am, for a minute, Jack Kelly still exists, but he's in the role of the brains.
Yeah, he'd be the Davy part.
He'd be the Davy part, so he can still have that sort of self-doubt and that want to get out of there. And then there's this figurehead in the form of Kid Blink, who's really, really charismatic. And he has like a strong will and he wants to do it. But he doesn't have the know-how, and Jack Kelly is kind of the street smart, guy that can make it happen. Like he's the kind of the player, the behind the scenes guy. And Blink is, a heroic character, but he's not, the main character. Make him the deuteragonist, to use a fancy literary word.
Well, I'm sure there was something to demonize Kid Blink to make him not the main character.
Not really. He was, he doesn't even have his own, Wikipedia page. Oh. There's not much known about him. But, he was a very popular subject with competing newspapers. They would quote him directly with his, the phonetic dialect. Let me see. There's a quote from him here.
This is going to be painful, isn't it?
Probably. Friends and fellow workers, this is a time which tries the hearts of men. This is the time when we've got to stick together like glue. We know what we want, and we'll get it even if we is blind. So the main character of this musical should have been Kid Blink.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know, did they think Christian Bale couldn't fill out a fucking eye patch?
I mean, 17-year-old or whatever he was.
He was 18. He was
18.
Yeah.
18-year-old Christian Bale, maybe?
Yeah, it's a fucking eye patch. Throw an eye patch on the kid. Call him Kid Blink. Don't change anything else. Hell, keep him at 18. Even though he was 13 when he was leading the rally.
Yeah.
He had a heavy Brooklyn accent. Why isn't he the main character? They changed shit just for the sake of changing it. And that's where I kind of take issue.
Well...
For one thing, they got rid of a disabled character and replaced it with an able-bodied character and added an inspirational character who's also disabled.
I'm just, I have no idea the thought process here.
And don't get me wrong, I like this musical a lot. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I think it could have been better.
Every musical could have.
Yeah.
But
I think there's some obvious things that they didn't have to change that they did. For whatever fucking reason. Yeah. And they held rallies not just in the square or in a theater. They held them on the Brooklyn fucking Bridge. They disrupted everything for weeks. And that's why they got the kind of traction and the torque to get, people to do it. But they don't even need to include that part. I understand why they would compress that part. What I don't understand is why they would erase this really interesting historical figure. That's my spiel. Once again, really like the musical a lot, actually.
Yeah, no, it's an Alan Menken score. He wrote our childhoods.
Oh yeah, and here's the other thing. This is probably going off the rails. Do you have any notes you want to?
I do, but we'll work into them.
No, you do that. I want to compose an argument in my head here. So go ahead.
Cool. So my biggest thing is all of the people in this show when you watch it on Netflix are a lot shorter than you think they are. Because I've met Jeremy Jordan and Andrew Keenan-Bolger, and I love them both, and they're amazing, but they're not particularly tall men.
Are they Lilliputian?
No, not Lilliputian, but Jeremy's 5'9" and a half, his IMDb says. He's not much taller than me. Sure. I have selfies with him to prove this. And then Andrew Keenan-Bolger is 5'4".
Dang.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking...
He's shorter than Daniel Radcliffe.
That is Lilliputian, I'd say.
Yeah. So yeah, just and comparing the rest of the Newsies to them, they're all really pretty short. Because I'm a pretty short person, and I'm taller than most of them.
Yeah.
Also, like I mentioned, Jeremy and Andrew are both in their 30s, and everyone else is 21, 22, and these are supposed to be 13 to 17-year-old kids.
And fucking impressive dancers, I should mention.
Oh god, the dancing is amazing.
There's one guy, the kid that always has a cigar, I think.
Yeah. Racetrack.
Is that his name?
Yeah, his name is Racetrack.
Sure, okay. But he at one point does this move where he's spinning on one leg, and then he does a full body, like, inversion, except for the leg, and picks up a newspaper that's sitting at his foot.
Or he tears it.
Tears it up, yeah.
Because half of it is under his foot. Because he's doing, it's called a fouette.
Yeah, he's doing a fouette.
Is the technical term for what he's doing.
He's doing a fouette wop. Sorry, that's a really bad joke. Go on.
And he, like, spins down, grabs half of it, and tears it, and then throws it at the audience, which has been a thing previously in the number.
Yeah, but, like,
was that Racetrack? It was someone, anyway.
He straight up, like, folds himself in half to do this thing. There's, like, multiple, like, standing backflips. It's insane.
Yeah, like, there's literally a scene where it's like, can you do a backflip? Do it. And, like, 8 kids backflip across the stage.
It's incredible.
But yeah, I also, I have a note here about convincing people in musicals is really easy. Quoting the Supergirl Flash crossover episode.
Oh yeah. So you just literally, like, if you sing a song, whatever. Or if you are Hugh Jackman. If you're Hugh Jackman, you can convince anyone of anything as long as you're in a musical.
Yeah.
Yeah. And probably in real life.
So,
speaking of, if you don't mind me cutting in. So, not to go back to The Well. This musical does a really good job of what The Greatest Showman should have been. Hear me out. The Greatest Showman fucked with history in a way that made villains heroic and heroes villainous in a really shitty and manipulative way that feels really, really politically out of touch for me. This show is really explicitly pro-union and pro-workers' rights and, like, pro sort of fair trade in a really contemporary and relevant way, but it doesn't feel preachy. Like, somehow, fucking The Greatest Showman is both wrong about everything and preachy. This show is not preachy, but it's like, listen, maybe people should be paid for their labor. Maybe we shouldn't exploit sweatshops. They specifically mention sweatshops multiple times. Mm-hmm. And that's really admirable. Except, and this is going away from the, The Greatest Showman comparison. Don't see The Greatest Showman, it's bad. It's made by Disney. Mm-hmm. And that's where it starts to break down a little. To take a Marxist interpretation, man, this show is really, like, weird and contradictory because Disney has an interesting history with unions and with sweatshops and with general labor disputes. Like, considering how long people working at Disneyland had to use shared underwear while they were in the giant suits, look it up. It's horrifying.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really, like, it borders on, like, it's subversive in a really interesting way for me. And Harvey Fierstein wrote the book, which makes a lot of sense because it's, whenever someone gets a chance to be, like, snarky, they're really good at it.
Yeah.
And also it kind of has a very, I don't want to say it's progressive. It has a progressive agenda to it.
Yeah.
In a really fun way. Like, it kind of goes, oh, here are our scrappy heroes. Here are our villains, and our villains are captains of industry.
And here's our scrappy heroes scrapping at each other.
Right, and they're scrapping like crazy. And also we got, like, the shortest muscle man we could get to play
Scott Conlon.
To play the leader of Brooklyn.
God, I mean, it's just like, give me the shortest jacked kid you can find.
Yeah. No, find us a short kid, we will jack him. Oh, that sounded bad. Okay, that sounded weird. Never mind. Please don't. No.
Okay, so going back a little bit, this is just me being kind of
sorry.
Random theater fact.
Cool. I'll get off my high horse. Go on.
This is me being random theater fact. So you brought up Greatest Showman, and I found out a few days ago that when they were doing the meeting and the workshop to get the movie greenlit, Hugh Jackman couldn't sing it. Because he'd had a melanoma removed from his nose.
Hugh Jackman has he has skin cancer.
Yeah.
And that's like a weird fact that doesn't get trotted out enough. And he's like done multiple sort of PSAs about how wear fucking sunscreen.
Yeah. So anyway, this had happened the day before this workshop was supposed to happen, and he calls the director going, hey, so I can't actually sing it. My doctor said I can't. And, like, if you've seen the preview videos for it, then you know what I'm talking about. But...
I haven't. Go on.
So anyway, they, like, we're just like, well, shit, but, you know, Hugh's still gonna be there, he's gonna act the part, he's gonna gesticulate, gonna do everything to indicate that he will be the part when he can sing again. And
so as P.T. Barnum.
As P.T. Barnum. And in under 24 hours, they got Jeremy fucking Jordan to come in and sing the part.
Yeah.
And so that means somewhere out there, there's a recording of him doing all of the songs from the show up until, what's the name of the one at the end?
From Now On.
From Now On. When he was finally like, fuck this, I gotta sing. And so he does the entire number, and it's, if you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. It's fucking hilarious. Cause Jeremy is just like imitating Hugh's motions through most of the video, and Hugh is being like, I mean this lovingly, but he's like the black lady in church doing the finger thing up in the air. And,
he's like gesticulating and, you know.
Yeah. It's really funny.
I don't doubt it, yeah.
But anyway, I highly recommend it. And weirdly, Andrew Keaton Bolger's also there.
Alright, sidebar. How happy would you have been if instead of Zac Efron to play Phil in The Greatest Showman, they had gotten Jeremy Jordan?
I would have been really fucking happy.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't have been as much of a commercial success because
it's Zac Efron.
Because it's Zac Efron, and, like, not as few of people, but fewer people know who Jeremy Jordan is.
But imagine Jeremy Jordan and Zendaya as our breeding pair.
Thank you, Lindsay Ellis.
Thank you, Lindsay Ellis, for introducing that term to my vocabulary, and also for just everything. Please, thank you.
I think he's shorter than her.
Isn't Zac Efron?
No, Zac Efron was taller than Zendaya
by like an inch or two.
Okay, hang on, I gotta Google this.
Yeah, Google that. You Google that. I'm gonna.
You Google that. You keep talking.
No, I'm going to the bathroom. Fuck this.
Okay, pause.
Not actually fuck this. No, I'm just gonna cut it out. If you say something funny while I'm gone.
Butts. Okay. Zendaya is 5'10". Oh, yeah, no. Zac Efron is 5'8". So you were right. Zendaya is 5'10". Zac Efron is 5'8".
Called it.
Jeremy Jordan would have been taller, at least according to his Wikipedia. Jeremy Jordan is 5'9.5".
Uh-huh.
Right.
What is it? How tall does it say Tom Cruise is? That was a rhetorical question, but okay.
You asked, and I have it up.
That's
so
true. Yeah, might as well. Let's find out. Has Tom Cruise been in a musical?
No.
Can he sing?
I don't know, but he was in that one where he did the number in the underwear. Tom Cruise is 5'7".
Oh! Risky Business?
Yeah.
He doesn't sing, he just kind of slides across the floor in his underwear.
Okay.
Not,
I've never
not
seen
on
it.
his underwear, like, you know, on his butt, but like, you know, in his socks.
I know, I've
just like a dog going across the floor. Tom Cruise. I would pay good fucking money. Anyway, we're off track. So Newsies.
We are very off track. Newsies, yes. Jeremy Jordan sings with his eyebrows.
Yeah, he really does. He has very expressive eyebrows.
And I love it, but he has very expressive eyebrows.
Yeah, it's funny.
Seeing him live, it was like the first thing I noticed.
Yeah, because Saber's seen him live. I have not. You offered, but I was like, nah. I have other things to do. Anyway, so let's see. Is there anything else? Anything big?
No, I have like Cocky Jack as my favorite because that scene at the end is just like
Cocky
my
Jack
favorite
is
thing.
great.
And it's a bit of a sidebar, but like I wish Win on Supergirl would just like at one point get a little bit of that confidence. I've only seen like 3/4 into season 2.
He does a little bit eventually. Have you gotten to his girlfriend yet?
Which
in season 3?
Like there was the assistant that kind of seduced
No,
Sam.
not Tessmacher. No,
not
Tessmacher.
Not Tessmacher. It was Siobhan.
Right? Yeah, no, not her.
Okay, no, I haven't gotten that far.
Ooh, well, you're in for a treat.
Okay, he gets a girlfriend.
I think it's season 3. No, it's not
Season 3 is currently airing.
Oh yeah, no, that's not season 3. He should be there by now. Whatever.
I like just got to where the musical episode happens.
Yeah. Okay. So.
But anyway.
So, thing. I've mentioned that I really like the plucky female reporter archetype, especially like kind of the flapper era, like plucky reporter archetype. Have you seen The Great Race?
Nope.
You should see The Great Race. It's great.
Okay.
That's Jack Lemmon.
Oh, I like Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, it's great. It is a very good plucky reporter. One stereotype I could afford to see less is the kindly Jewish stereotype that runs the restaurant that they hang out in. Mm-hmm. That was weird.
Yeah.
That was when I was like, hey, Uncle Walt, how's it going?
His name was Jacoby.
I mean, fair enough, but like, he's still very much like, if only I had paying customers, it's like your newsboys,
Well, no, it was, I need you guys to leave, I have paying customers coming.
Yeah, and like, don't say I never gave you nothing, and, he's giving him water.
Yeah.
Like, do we need the, like, Jewish stereotype here?
Probably not.
I don't think so. Like, he can be Jewish and not a stereotype. That's easy.
Or he can be a stereotype and not Jewish.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's not good either. Like, what stereotype? Like a waspy guy? Would he be, like, carrying a tennis racket? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah. Let me see.
I have...
Go on.
They use the Hercules chord a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Which is... It's the chord you hear in the movie Hercules at the beginning of Go the Distance.
That's the one. Yeah, sorry, I forgot the song while you were saying this. Go on.
And it's when the hero realizes something profound about himself. Mm-hmm. And they use it, like, multiple times with Jack. And I was like, oh, that's a Hercules score. This is an Alan Menken score. Mm-hmm. And then they also have the requisite cello solo from the Alan Menken score, which is, at the very low point in our hero's journey, where it's just the one cello just doing the melancholy thing.
Yeah, and it works. Like, here's the thing about Alan Menken. Like, he doesn't go for anything, like, super flashy. But he has a diverse range. Mm-hmm. And he can do multiple different kinds of song. And he does them well.
Yeah.
Which is better than most of the other composers that have been highlighted here on Let's Put on a Show. Like, the fucking Pirate Queen people.
Boobiel and Schoenberg.
They have one mode.
Mm-hmm.
And fucking Pashk and Paul, they have one mode. And yeah, it's really refreshing to have like a score that has diversity in it. Mm-hmm. Like there's Santa Fe, which is the I Want song. And it sets I mentioned in fucking The Pirate Queen that they set the land speed record for I Want songs. This one knocks it out of the fucking water. Like it's literally like
opens the show.
Opens on the I Want song, which is Santa Fe. It's a good song, but it's like immediately, it's like you don't get a chance to know this person aside from his like very brief interactions with Crutchy.
Yep.
Once again, Crutchy. What is even his name? Like, do we know what his name is aside from Crutchy?
Nope. At least not in this musical. In the movie, they might say it.
I suppose it's probably for the best that we don't have Kid Blink, because they would have just called him Blinky and made him, like, kind of inspirationally disadvantaged. Which is a thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Crutchy is is a likable character. Like, he's not just sort of his disability. Mm-hmm. Which is nice. Yeah. That's all too rare, especially in musicals, but in stories in general. Like, he's got pluck, he's got moxie, he's,
and literally, like, in the opening number, it's just like, that limp sells 50 papes a week, he's just like, I don't need the limp to sell papes, I got personality. And it's just like, you need a smile that spreads like butter. Yeah. It's a good score. It's got good lyrics. It's got heart. This is a play with heart, and it's amazing because it's a Disney production. Yeah, like I'm glad we didn't get Newsies on Ice, where it's like people with like giant foam representations of Christian Bale, like giant foam Christian Bale suits, kind of like ice dancing around. I think you're Frozen on Ice is a thing. Which makes sense. It is, but they don't have the foam suits. They're actually in the costumes. Except if you're a non-human character. Yeah, Olaf has the big thing. Moana on Ice. Oh man, that sounds super, super uncomfortable now that I said it out loud. I hope that's not a thing. I'm going to look it up and make sure it's not a thing. I mean, Disney on Ice is a thing, and they probably will have at least how far I'll go. But I hope they have the
Oh no, it exists. Oh, no.
God. Oh god.
Oh no.
Oh god. Let me see this.
Oh no, it's a YouTube video. We'll watch this afterwards.
Oh god. Show me a picture.
Let's see, images. Okay, they got someone of color. That's cool.
Okay, there's actually a girl just in a Moana costume.
Oh, there's Maui. Oh, it's a foam suit. Oh no.
Oh god, and oh god.
Oh no.
Oh god.
All right.
Boy.
You know, Disney, you're doing okay.
I mean, being fair, aside from putting The Rock on ice skates, what are you gonna do?
Put The Rock on ice skates, please. I want to see The Rock on ice. On the rocks. He can do it, man. He is multifaceted.
Yeah, he is. I would pay good money to see that.
Rock the Dwayne Johnson contains multitudes. And not just because he looks like three people stapled together.
Oh boy.
Oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Place.
Yeah, it really did. Anyway, yeah, Newsies.
Newsies.
Let's rate it, shall we?
Well, actually, I have one more thing.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Go.
I remember I was at Broadway Con back in like 2016.
Apparently a thing. Go on.
It is. It just happened this year. And I think it was the Deaf West Spring Awakening panel where Andy Mientus was talking about callbacks for the original Spring Awakening when he was on the tour. And he was up against Jeremy Jordan for the part of Hanshin.
Okay.
Which is...
Hanshin. Which one's Hanshin again?
Hanshin is the one who romances Ernst, the gay one.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, wait, is he the super manipulative gay one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, go on.
And anyway, he was telling the story, like, I'm sure this is a video on YouTube, but I just remember him talking about how they were doing the choreography for a song that was super chair-oriented choreography, so it was probably totally fucked.
Probably.
And, or Bitch of Living. And
Both
Jeremy
very good
broke
songs.
his chair during the callback. Like...
Straight up broke it?
Just straight up broke it, smashed it on the ground, and like had to continue doing this without a
a
functional chair. And that was the only time Andy Mientus has beat out Jeremy Jordan for a role.
Wow, well, there you go.
So
I feel like, well, I mean, in that case, he should definitely work with The Rock. They're both familiar with breaking chairs.
But yeah, I'd written down that story on the sideline of my notes, and I was just like, I remember that happening.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh, quick thing. You, before we watched this, because you've watched this, the Netflix version.
Multiple.
A shitload. Let's be real.
Yeah.
It's a shitload.
It's a shitload.
And before then you were like, I wonder how many times you're going to write down gay. And I only wrote it down once. I should mention my restraint. But
and we
let's
mean this
talk.
with the most loving.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because I am like the queerest person to ever exist.
And I know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, honestly, I didn't get the vibe, except for like one scene where Crutchy's in prison, basically. Yeah, but there is a limit when it comes to horseplay. There's a fine line when it comes to like horseplay, and they come very close to the line on multiple occasions where it's just like the Newsies kind of like
just horsing around with
we're
each
horsing
other.
around with each other, you know, like.
And then all of a sudden they're like hanging on to each other and flipping across the stage.
Yeah, and at that point I'm just like, okay, well, that's choreography. That's not like, you know. But it's interesting that they kind of play around with that. Like, in a, I don't know.
They even approach the line is the weird part.
On the other hand, Harvey Fierstein wrote the book.
That's fair.
Yeah, Harvey Fierstein is look up a picture of Harvey Fierstein. He was also in Mulan.
Yeah, that's right. He was Yao.
Yeah, he was the super gravelly voiced guy.
Yeah,
which is pretty funny. Like,
he also wrote Hairspray.
Yeah, Harvey Fierstein's a badass. Like,
yeah,
you know, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
so good for him.
Hairspray originally premiered at the Fifth Avenue Theater here in Seattle.
Ah, yes. But anyway, yeah. So let's get to the ratings. I think we've touched on most of the subtext and the issues that we had, and you know, kind of observations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Just overall, like
once again, like technical proficiency, and then how it made you feel.
Yeah, technical proficiency, like Fucking 10 out of 10. That set is amazing. The dancers are spot on. The vocals are amazing. Like, they knew exactly what they were doing when they cast the show, and they did a really good job. And how it made me feel... Gotta go with 8 out of 10, because the romance leaves me kind of
Okay. Alright, let me see. As far as actual technical production goes, it's slick as a greased ferret, the whole thing, but it's not... It's a good set. It's not especially interesting or innovative. Like, it's interesting, but it's like... There's not a huge amount of, like, technical whatnot that goes into it. But everything's written well. Everything's done very well. Everything's danced very well. Solid 8.5 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I really thought it was well staged. There are a few bits. This is on the Netflix thing specifically, where it's like, cinematography! We have cameras, I'm going to use them, we're going to have a shake, because it's a fight. And that's kind of contributing to it getting, not a better grade. But 8.5 out of 10 is a good
really
grade.
good
It's
for
a good
him.
grade. What do you mean? Like, I'm not unreasonable. Yeah, I'm a little unreasonable.
What did you give Greatest Showman? Like 3.5?
I give him 6, but I was including, like, the script and, like, the structure there.
Yeah.
Which is balls.
Yep.
Anyway, how it made me feel. Solid 7 out of 10.
Awesome.
I really liked it. It wasn't transcendent. It didn't it surprised me in how much I enjoyed it, but not in any other way. It was fun. It's a fun play, and that's good, because I was getting kind of burnt out.
Yeah.
Because we did, like, in a row, Greatest Showman, and then The Pirate Queen. So, yeah, 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It's good. Like, everyone sings well. Everyone does a good job. And it's fun. Remember fun? Like we used to have before?
And I still just like to imagine that Wynn just took a leave of absence from Supergirl.
Yeah. So yeah, this has been Let's Put On a Show for Newsies. It's good. I would recommend it. If you have Netflix and you like musicals at all, which I do, and which you do,
yeah,
I would recommend it. I would recommend it pretty highly, yeah. Like, it's a great way to spend, like, 2 hours and 15 minutes. It doesn't make you feel shitty. It doesn't make you think about things too hard, but it gives you something to think about.
Yeah.
It isn't...
You can think about it if you want to.
Right. It's not dumb, but it's not pushy.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, since you end up saying the intro thing, I'd like to say the outro thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, go break some legs.
And we won't do everything for you. We won't chew your food, baby bird.
Let's Put On a Show is a production of Blood and Thunder Publications. All the rights that I have reserved. Yeah, I'm aware that Tom Cruise was in, Rock of Ages, but let's keep it to good musicals. Has Tom Cruise ever been in a good musical? Let me know. Yeah, that's the primary message here. Also, our music is Ragamama by Purple Planet Music, and they are great, so go and check them out. And yeah, you can also just check out Newsies on Netflix. It's fun. Fun? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, have a good time with that. And if you don't go and see it, well, whatever. Have a good time regardless. I hope you're having a good time right now. Now I'm just talking into a microphone. Cool.